Welcome to Ideagen TV. Today we have with us, and very excited to have with us, the Marketing and Operations Director for Greece, Cyprus, and Malta, Vangelis Morfis. Vangelis, welcome.
Thank you, George. It's an honor.
It's our honor, Vangelis. It's an incredible moment for so many reasons across the planet right now, especially when you consider the acceleration of technology. And you sitting at Microsoft as the Marketing and Operations Director for 3 countries, Greece, Cyprus, and Malta, is really remarkable. And it's a testament to how hard you've worked, because they not only gave you 1 country, you've got 3 countries that you're responsible for. So that's quite an effort that I'm sure you're undertaking. To set the stage for our global audience, Vangelis, can you tell us a little bit about yourself, as well as your role and responsibilities as Marketing and Operations Director at Microsoft for Greece, Cyprus, and Malta?
Thank you, George. I'll be brief. I joined Microsoft about 7 years ago. Actually, I've taken a step in my career where I changed my career. So when I joined Microsoft, I was in finance. I was the CFO of the company for the first 4 years. I was with Microsoft Greece, Cyprus, and Malta. And then I raised my hand after 4 years and said, look, guys, I think I've done my part in finance. How about moving myself to operations and marketing and operations? And my preparation met with the opportunity, and therefore I was selected for the role. Now, M&O, marketing and operations, is actually a combination of 2 roles. You would probably see it in the market as a COO role, or if I have to help the audience understand it better, it would be someone that has the responsibility for the numbers of the company to deliver all the targets for the company, like any CEO would have, deciding and pushing for more resources and funds to make it happen, plus have marketing as a weapon, as a tool to make the targets happen. So marketing and operations, in my mind, fit very well together to deliver results.
Absolutely, and I agree. And so, marketing and operations are 2 very highly compatible and integrated opportunities to really, affect the trajectory and the impact of the company. And my gosh, where do you begin with Microsoft? I mean, there's so much happening across the world with all the announcements on carbon neutral and carbon negative. And that's just the tip of the iceberg. There's so much happening that the company is actually leading on. And I think we're proud to be partnered with Microsoft primarily for that reason, because we have such an incredible alignment with ethos. And Vangelis, let me ask you, when you first started your career, not so long ago, when you first started your career,
yes,
what was the industry like? What was the technology industry like when you first started? And what have been some of the biggest changes that you've experienced?
Okay. Well, actually, that's a good question, George. I've been thinking about it from time to time. I mean, I started my career probably 22 years ago. And the first thing I remember, I was an auditor back then, and I remember very heavy laptops, small ones, but pretty heavy. And you were trying to connect through cables. There was no Wi-Fi. Mobile phones were just coming into the play. I mean, small and not, of course, smartphones were coming into the play. So I remember very clearly all of that. There were no applications, and we were celebrating when we were having some mobile applications, but they were all games. Like I remember the companies, the telcos fighting who's going to come up with more games for their phones. So it was quite different, and there was not much collaboration because there were no online tools. Everything was on premise, everything was installed in your laptop. So what you had to do was to work with your laptop, and then if you had to communicate, you would have to email someone and receive their email and kind of work back and forth. So collaboration was missing, online tools was missing, there was no digital, there was no social media, and I mean social media as a business. because social media is now an important part of our business to advertise, to celebrate, to promote our products, to discuss with partners and customers. So none of that was there. It was a total different world. And sometimes, this digital technology, as we discuss it today, that was not there at all 20 years ago. The only thing I would say is that despite a lot of work, people seem to be a bit happier, seem to be a bit more smiley. So probably I would say that we earned a lot and maybe lost a little bit of our smile 20 years later.
Well, we're smiling here today, so we'll try to make up for that in some way.
I try to do it all the time, because this is why we're here. We're here to support our people and try to do more, but with a smile. Otherwise, we shouldn't.
Yeah, and the other thing is, of course, the company has been leading on things like AI and cloud, and the ability for so many organizations right now we've seen across the planet, especially in education, the ability to continue with online learning in the midst of a global pandemic, thanks to platforms like Teams, that has been incredibly essential for folks to be able to not only communicate, but to be able to distribute content, share content, and develop that sense as close you can as to being in the classroom. So I know for so many students across the planet, Microsoft has also led on that. Shifting a bit, I guess, in terms of what we do at Ideagen, I know that we support and create awareness and develop partnerships to develop impact to achieve the global goals, those 17 global goals of the United Nations. Mm-hmm. And who would have thought, Vangelis, just a few short months ago, in January, February, that a pandemic would be upon us and that the entire planet would be experiencing the same exact thing. And so these 17 goals become sort of a point of light, a guidepost for us to follow through 2030 to help achieve and make the world a better place. And as a successful leader, you mentioned your role at Microsoft. What are the 3 key insights that you would be able to provide to our global audience today, millions of people listening to you, for achieving the Sustainable Development Goals?
George, I recently watched a video on YouTube that really influenced me. That was, I think it was Italian, and it actually described what's happening in the world, what was happening in the world, and kind of very nicely connected what's happening at that time during the pandemic, and kind of connected the two. I think it was really I would say it influenced me. It was a bit scary, to be honest with you. It made you think a lot. And to be honest with you, it opens up the discussion for the digital sustainable goals. To be honest with you, I'm a simple person. And I have, I would say, when I think about the SDGs, I think of 3 things. The first one is that when you start discussing something very big, you have to remember the first principle. And the SDGs are referring to something very, very simple as a principle. Leave no one behind. So this is what happened at the pandemic. We tried, governments tried, people tried not to leave anyone behind. We stayed at home so that the elder people wouldn't be left behind. They would get a chance for proper medication and healthcare. Leave no one behind. That's the first insight. It's not my insight, it's everybody's insight, and we should remember that first things come first. The second one, I think that it's a world where everybody is ultra connected, and therefore the goals are ultra connected. So when you look at them, all 17 of them, if you read one by one, you cannot achieve 1 or 2 or 3, or you cannot shoot for 1, 3, and 5. You have to go for all of them. And you have to work together to go for all of them. No one can achieve them all alone. No one can select some of them. These are 17 intra-connected, ultra-connected goals that everybody has to work together in order to try and achieve all of them. You cannot cherry pick. And the third insight, probably, it comes from where I'm coming from. Probably it's related because I've been working in the tech industry for the last for 12, 13 years now. It's that technology can be the definite enabler, can be an enabler which will facilitate, which will democratize, and will offer the chances to accelerate regarding the success and regarding the accomplishment of these sustainable goals. It has to be, it's the role that it's intended for. Technology, I'm just repeating it, it has to be the enabler and the democratizer of all the goals, and a very important part of what we need to make it happen.
Vangelis, that's profound insight, and I know it's based on your career and everything you've seen, and I think for our global audience, I think that's an incredible note of inspiration as well, because beginning with leaving no one behind, I think, is a critical component, because it does shine a light on what we are experiencing and have experienced with the global pandemic. I think what you've seen across the planet is a highlight on inequity, right? And areas of opportunity to empower people. And so what do you think is the best approach for helping to achieve these 17 sustainable development goals?
You're asking good questions, George. I think that the first thing, again, I'll go back to my principles. I'll go back to the insights, as you called them before. We have to work together. We have to remember the principle which says that leave no one behind. I keep repeating it to myself. I like it so much. It's kind of an emotional touch, leave no one behind. And about the Greek culture, we believe in, we like these mottos that motivate. So leave no one behind has to be a principle. And then the best way to do it is probably work together. I mean, no one can achieve any target alone. No country, because we're probably referring to countries, and no individual and no NGO can achieve all these targets together. We have to work together. We have to collaborate. We have to contribute and go for big bets. That's the other thing. That's the other proposal I have. We have to set big bets. You mentioned Microsoft before, and you mentioned the big goals we have. Yes, we announced big goals, especially regarding sustainability and green. We said something that is kind of, at the beginning, I mean, I felt like, okay, that's probably too bold. But if you think about it, it can be achieved. We said that we means 150,000 people of employees of Microsoft, plus all the partners, plus all the suppliers, plus all the customers. If we work together, we're going to try and make the footprint, the CO2 footprint of Microsoft disappear from the planet. So we've been a company that's been around for 45 years, and we commit that in the next 30 years, in the next 10 years, we're going to start going negative, neutral and negative. And then in the next 30 years, by 2050, we're going to be, we commit, we will try, we will lead the way to be, to make our footprint vanish, our CO2 footprint vanish. It's a super big commitment, but this is what I said before. We have to decide and uphold these big bets. If we go for big bets, bold bets, unheard of bets, this is where we should lead to, and we have to work together. We have to work with our partners, with our customers, and we're just an example. The same goes about the other companies, the other technology companies. The same goes about Ideagen, about the countries. No one can work alone. So if you ask me what are the things we can do better, probably it's work together and set big bets and go out and make it happen.
Well, that's one of the most incredible parts of Microsoft that I see, is the ability to lead with partnership and the commitment to partnerships. I think, when you look at the 17 goals, you look at goal number 17 is global partnerships. And my goodness, have you all committed to global partnerships? And And I love how you described your entire supply chain. You know, it's the company, it's the employees, it's the partners, it's the suppliers, it's the customers together helping to build this commitment and achieve the commitment. And so, how have you seen innovation play such a big role in your sector, in the technology sector? And how have you incorporated innovation into your work?
Well, I'll start with one of the phrases I like the most. It took me some time to digest it. Our CEO, Satya Nadella, said it. He actually said that in our industry, in technology, this industry does not respect tradition. It respects only innovation. And it is so true. I mean, think about any company. Forget Microsoft for a second and go to any company or to any business. It doesn't have to be a big enterprise. Think of any business. The times where you could cut OPEX and restrain yourself are gone. I mean, we've done that. Most companies have done that. The only way to go up, the only way to go north is innovation. To drive innovative ways to get extra revenue streams, to get new ways to serve your customers, to optimize your products, and to empower your employees. I mean, the only way, and it's so clear now, that you have to innovate. At the personal level, I would say that you don't have to do something that spectacular. I don't do myself something that spectacular. I only follow what's going on, and I'm an early adapter. So when we had to work from home, I immediately adapted because I was ready. I didn't have to innovate, just use the resources I have to work from home. When it comes to collaborating, I'm using the tools that exist and work from home. But what I'm really doing fast as an innovation is that I'm adapting fast. I'm thinking ahead, and when the decision comes in front of me, I just take it. I just make it. I don't have to wait. Innovation is what this industry is what our times respect. Unfortunately, not much tradition.
That's so incredible to hear, and really eye-opening on so many levels, to be able to consider that notion of looking at how innovation plays that critical role in global impact and in your work each and every day. Cross-sector collaboration. As you know, at Ideagen, we are all about bringing people together from across sectors, because we believe, because we've seen so many different times where issues, solutions specifically, lie perhaps one sector over. So you'll have a technologist, an artist, an athlete, a diplomat, you know, on the same program speaking about a similar issue, but from a cross-sector vantage point. We talked about innovation, but Vangelis, why is cross-sector collaboration combined with innovation so incredibly important to helping to solve so many of the world's most vexing issues, like the issues you just discussed, like the issue of going carbon neutral? To go further, how do you then infuse that collaboration into your daily mission to successfully achieve your goals?
George, you hit the nail on the head. I think we're past the time of heroes, where heroes were trying to deliver it all by themselves, to do it all by themselves, or to deliver for others. I think that in our times, in the times we live and work in, the problems are so complex that and the solutions required cannot be delivered by one. It's as simple as that. So collaboration is no longer like something on top. It's a very basic need, and it's a very basic skill. Whenever you're interviewing for new people to join the team, collaboration comes as one of the top, one of the best attributes that you are looking for people to have. So we're not looking for heroes. We're not looking for super achievers. We're looking primarily for people who think and can collaborate and can deliver results. And to be honest with you, it's also into the culture of the company anymore, and many other companies as well. I don't like to talk about Microsoft only. If we have this collaboration into our culture, this cross collaboration between companies, between segments, between industries, between departments, and between people among people the same team, then you've got it happening. And all you need, the other thing you need, is actually tools. Because if you just believe in it, if you have the culture, but if you don't have the tools to do it, you just cannot do it. So I'm lucky, again, working for Microsoft, because we've got the collaboration tools, and all the work is happening right there. And I'll give you a very simple, very funny example. Think about the beginning of my career 20 years ago, and think about co-editing a document. So you and I work together, let's say, creating this interview, right? And then I think of some questions, and then you think of some questions, and then you think of some answers, and I add. What would happen 20 years ago, or even 10 years ago, we would exchange emails. So you write me, I write to you, we create a document, and then it's version 1, version 1.1, version 2, versus final, version final, versus final.1, etc., etc. Now all you need to do is just upload it, use the cloud services, and then co-edit. As simple as that. And imagine how much time you earn, how much energy you don't spend, and how much better results you can get by collaborating, having the culture and having the right tools.
And you know, for the very first time, I think on Ideagen TV, after literally thousands of interviews, I've heard you describe something in the way you did, which is the we are past the time of heroes. I think that's a really interesting statement to make, because I think that then says exactly what you described, which is you cannot do it alone. I think that's a profound statement. And if you don't mind, I'm going to use that in the future, because it's very descriptive and to the point. It's the best description of collaboration.
It's true. We make an agreement. I'll be one, and you will be the second one. That we only the two of us use it.
That's right. That's right. And so then this becomes a difficult question. If we are going to leave heroes behind, we all have heroes, and stories of heroes inspire us, and that's okay. But leadership, leadership is so incredibly important. We've all seen it. We've seen the good, the not effective. We sort of know when we see leadership, and it's incredibly important. And I personally believe that leadership begins at the top. Obviously, it's a setting the tone, setting the ethos in any organization requires leadership, and maybe not a hero, but a leader. Very different. I think you would agree. And so, especially during this time, if we were to go back to when you first started your professional career, what bit of advice would you give to yourself, and why?
Okay, you take me, you know, it's the afternoon where you take me all the time 20 years back. So let me see the young Vangelis, and probably yeah, there are a few things I've thought from time to time what I would advise. Actually, the mind game I play is that I talk to my children, which actually they're quite young, but I'm preparing myself to have these discussions with them in the future when the time comes. The first thing I would advise Vangelis was to find a mentor. And actually, I'm advising your whole audience, and this is the advice I'm talking from time to time to schools. This is the first advice that I give to children. I personally didn't have a mentor, so it took me quite a while to understand what I wanted to do, and I had a probably harder time than I should finding the first steps in my career and trying to put it on the right path. So find, guys, a mentor, someone who will guide you among your first steps, who will explain how the world goes round, who will give you perspectives, who will listen to yours and work as a mirror and reflect back on what you're saying. So find yourself a mentor would be the first one. The second thing would probably be that I wouldn't hesitate to take some bold steps, bolder steps. I mean, I've changed a few companies, I've changed quite a few roles inside those companies. I would probably even expose myself to higher risk, to learn more. I am I'm a very deep believer in learning, in constant learning. So I would probably even go faster on that, seek more opportunities to grow, probably leave finance a bit earlier than I did after like 19 years of my career and move to closer to the business. I would probably do it earlier. So take bolder steps, I would advise the young Vangelis. And something difficult for the end, I would advise him to give more feedback, more timely feedback, more hard feedback, feedback that helps the other person think, probably please a little bit less, but helps the other person grow, and therefore grow the whole discussion, grow the whole company, grow the whole team through a candid environment of open Dutch feedback.
Incredible, incredible advice, Vangelis, and so important. The Ideagen Future Global Leaders Academy helps to create awareness for the goals and solutions for the goals, and part of that is understanding, advice from someone who's already done it. And I think that advice is so incredibly important. Having a mentor is something that I think everyone, to your point, should have. You should seek out a mentor very early on in your career, if not at every stage of life. Really, you should have a mentor, and that can help really accelerate in so many ways your ability to succeed. And as we look at this closing question, Vangelis, I want to first thank you for your incredibly authentic and inspiring insights today. It's been a profound experience. I think everyone will agree globally that you provide incredible leadership at an incredible company, Microsoft. What is your call to action for our global audience?
Call to action for a global audience. That's a big bet, George. Let me say this. This is what we've been talking to our customers. This is what we've been talking to our team. So I'm not going to reinvent the wheel here. When it comes to, I'll split it in two. When it comes to hard skills, I would say that you have to skill yourself. We live in the times where knowing what you used to know or getting here with what you used to know and will not get you there. As simple as that. So please consider of reskilling, upskilling further on and furthermore. That's the that's the hard part. And I've got a softer advice, which again, I've learned it at the beginning of my career and I still keep it and I still cherish it. You have to win people's hearts before you win their minds. So you have to be really in their hearts, and you have to have their commitment to work and support and do more before you win their minds with excellent knowledge. These are the two advice. These are the two things I would urge people. I would advise people to go for.
Mr. Vangelis Morfis, Marketing and Operations Director for Greece, Cyprus, and Malta. What an incredible interview, profound on every level. We thank you for your insights. What a powerful bit of advice for our global audience today. Thank you so much.
Thank you, George. Hope I see you in Greece.
You will. Thank you. Ideagen TV, powered by Azure, presented globally by Microsoft.